You know, one of the perks about my job is that you can day drink on a Wednesday afternoon and nobody looks at you like you just kicked their dog. Oh, well, hey there. It's Better Than Food book reviews. I'm Clifford Lee Sargent. How y'all doing? That's a fine Malbec. First off, this is for Adriano in Portugal. A heaping congratulations to him. Longtime viewer. Just got in touch, let me know that he recently got married and he's about to be a daddy. Hats off to you, man. Thanks for watching. Here's to the next 18 years. Good luck, man. There's no better guy for the job. I have a lot of great friends. And one of my best friends once told me that as you grow older, you really just stop giving a fuck about what other people think of you. And I am very happy to report that is true. Same friend recommended Stephen Pressfield. So this is not a rant, this is an actual book review, and it will definitely be worth your time. Even if you don't read the book itself, there's a couple of pieces of information from the book later on in the review that are wonderful. They're essential for writing anything. I didn't need to make a response for this thing I posted last weekend, though I'll give a little one, because it is relevant. A couple days ago, I posted a video that pissed some people off, and continues to piss them off. And I couldn't be happier. I now know who's paying attention. I also got a lot of hate and threats of physical violence. Hey, like I said, I couldn't be happier. But to sum it up, if you missed it, here it is. I told a marketer, an advertiser, a guy with this website called Inkit, publicly to go fuck himself. And I included in that umbrella all the people who have sent me their work asking for me to read it for free. It was not diplomatic. It was not nice. It was not polite. It was direct, arrogant, aggressive, and without fucks. That was all quite intentional. I haven't heard back from him, of course, because he's essentially more robot than human. Though I made the video as an aggressive and definitive statement. Never mind that I've still gotten, seemingly oblivious authors still sending me their work wanting freebies. Not even in retaliation to the video I made. It just never stopped. But there is a little bit more to this that you probably don't know. Inkit is a site that I've heard, that I've Googled and seen a lot of articles about, that is taking advantage of authors and spamming its own subscribers. Generally being a giant nuisance and prostituting itself to get more money while preying on the ambitions and the desires of aspiring authors and readers. The veracity of this I cannot prove. This was just skimming. But let's just say that after looking at a few articles, I think I got the idea. But that is my impression. You can go look at it for yourself. Whatever. I think, to the best of my knowledge, that it's probably force-feeding kids garbage and calling their mediocrity genius so they can make money. It's telling them what they want to hear. And not even just kids. This is probably authors of all variety, all sorts of people who are really trying to get their work out there, to make good work. It's telling them what they want to hear, but at the cost of their very intellectual constitution, which, like a fat video gamer's muscles, is rapidly atrophying. So he wanted to use me, and I decided to do it as a warning to anyone who thinks that I am going to sell your eyes, never mind mine, for a couple bucks. Let's back up a sec. Why would people send me their work? Why would people send me their work? Does my opinion, me, like I said before, some guy from the backwoods of fuck all Oregon, does my opinion really matter? Well, to some people, yes it does. But the real overwhelming answer is, fuck no! Your opinion matters. All 10,500 of you. Because you have money. You have the ability to monetarily support things, and that's what other people want from me. They want access to you. They want your money. For garbage! They want consolidated, direct, smooth, and easy access to you, dear reader. They want to sell you garbage. They want to sell me garbage. or have me push garbage for free. And it's not just companies, it's not just corporations, it's also individuals. You see what I'm getting at? They want to have me push garbage, and I assure you it's garbage, for free. There are some people who watch a channel who write and they know that their work is not good, but they send it to me anyways, hoping to get a free hand job. From me, the prostitute. And I am a whore. Make no question about it. But honey, I am not cheap. Did I ever tell you guys that some guy wanted to fuck me for $3,000 on Twitter? Where does that set me on like the classy man whore scale? Forget about it, Jack, it's internet. Really though, I'm happy that it was an honest backlash. We need more honesty, I need more honesty, and more responsibility and accountability for this internet shit. In the sense that this super humble, overly polite, smiley face, text email culture that people call communicating is garbage. It's a garbage way to live. It's so divorced from reality it's not real, it's retarded. And it's cowardly, and pathetic, and I'm not going to be a part of it. I'm going to be right here, doing my thing. And then I got some accusations of being a hypocrite because I asked for volunteers to translate my videos into French and Portuguese and different languages. But did I go to professional translators who marketed themselves as such with limited time, careers, families, priorities, and spam them with smiley faces asking for hours upon hours of free work? Smiley face. No. My fans actually volunteered before I asked. So I figured if it was going to be in Spanish, may as well be in other languages too, considering I review French and Portuguese authors. If people wanted to help out, which apparently they very happily do, have done, and are doing so, to do the exact same thing that I'm doing. Tell more people about more cool books. That's it. Slavery! I do the manual task of inserting the subtitles, right? I'm the one who actually puts them in there and does all that work. All people do is listen to the video, write it up in a PDF, and send it to me. They enjoy the collaboration. Why? Because I make all this stuff for them to watch. For free. Why? Because 99% of you guys are dope as hell. And I'm going to illustrate that with one of the kindest emails I have ever received in my life. One of many, but maybe the last one that just like, standing in the grocery reading it on my phone and like Dear Mr. Sergeant, my name is Melian or Melanie, I'm not sure. I'm from Montreal, Canada. I want to start off by thanking you for your amazing content. I can't remember a time when I wasn't a reader. As a child, I would spend my days reading. I even slept with the books I got from the library. In my early teenage years, I would read youth fiction as well as classics. Some such as the Count of Monte Cristo, Cyrano de Bergerac. Was this the nose that launched 1,000 ships? She did not write that. You just have to watch that movie. Jose Ferrer, 1950 something. Anyways, and Cyrano de Bergerac and the Phantom of the Opera. They had an important impact in my life. Later, I learned English and the amount of books available to me became unmanageable. You and me both. I wanted to read everything. I will be turning 17 years old in a few weeks, and I will be starting my second year of CEGEP, which is like college over there, I guess, in a few days. I can't read as much as I used to, which means that I need to prioritize. I love to read as a hobby, but I no longer want to push myself to finish a book I do not love. You and me both. I also want to read good books, books that make me think. While I feel a definite pull towards more difficult books of philosophy or mathematics, for example, I also experience a strange feeling of undeservedness, as if my lack of experience and wisdom would somehow prevent me from learning the book. I know that this isn't the case because of the books I read when I was 11 or 12 years old. Last year, during my first semester of college, I took a class on modernism, and I read parts of Nietzsche's The Gay Science as well as Mishima's Confessions of a Mask. I loved the experience, even if I didn't understand everything. Confessions of a Mask left a great mark in my life. I still regularly think about it. Once again, you and me both. Mishima is incredible. Nietzsche too. Everybody you mentioned is fantastic. You're a 17-year-old girl, you're going to be fine, honey. This video spoke to this part of me that is terrified of not being smart enough. It allowed me to regain the mindset I had when I first read Dumas. It gave me the courage to go and read War and Peace with a little bit less anxiety. Once again, Thank you for all the amazing content. Best regards. M. Melian or Melanie. Yeah, that hit me in a soft place. I get things like that now and then, maybe once a month or so. And from kids all over the world. It's doing far better than I was, at their age, reading literature that is what would have been stuff I considered really advanced when I was at it. But then again, yeah, I was reading like Nietzsche and Henry Miller and Sade and all this, But what she did was she took that video where I said, should I wait until I'm smarter to read difficult books? She translated all of that and just sent it to me and didn't even tell me. She didn't even get in touch. She just sent it and it's all done. It's got the time code and everything. So all I have to do is just go in and put in the lines. So it was really, really touching. It was very nice, Yeah. So like I said to people who are doing that, if you want me to promote your stuff, if you have something else that you do, I can say subtitles by da-da-da and blah 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 blah, It's no problem. However, now I have so many people who are translating these videos for me and I have to go and put all these subtitles in that I can't even I'm already too busy. Already, can you believe that? But it's pretty cool. I get to meet and speak with all these people around the world who are excited to show their friends the Peshua video in Portuguese. It's great. The Michel Houellebecq Soumission review is going to be in French next. That's the next candidate up. Anyways. And also a shout out to the book reviewer Tiny Little Things. Really appreciate the support. And congratulations on the recent 200,000 subscribers. That's very impressive. That's awesome. So Nobody Wants to Read Your Shit is by Steven Pressfield, a former ad man, and for most of his life, but no longer a closet novelist. Just finished this in maybe half a day, if that. I mean, just a couple hours, and this is a finely sharpened weapon of solid writing advice. Again, came from my friend who is a trusted source, loves to read, far more well-read than I. And he said, look, you got to read this guy. So I did, and he's absolutely right. And of course, I'm just like you. I'm skeptical of all the things I'm told regarding this type of stuff. Which is why I enjoyed it, I think, because this is written by a guy who is totally skeptical of all of that stuff. It's great to be skeptical, even confrontational. It helps you learn, often painfully. But there you have it. This may be, as it was in my case, a painful lesson. That's okay. You're learning. Pain can be being alive and making progress. It's good pain. Bad pain may be, being alive and not making progress, or knowing you need to make progress and keep going in fucking circles, which is basically 99% of a writer's existence, I think. Since we've been on the subject of new writers and writing, I found this to be a very insightful and helpful tool, and I think you get the idea of what this book is about. So I'm just going to jump right in. You ought to read this, especially if you were planning on sending your work to me, you ought to read this first. And just, make sure that your problem isn't really easily solved using this. If you still want my opinion, great. You can email me at booksarebetterthanfood@gmail.com, but this guy's like eons ahead of me, so I'm just gonna dive right in. Chapter 4, Nobody Wants to Read Your Shit. The first thing you learn in advertising is that no one wants to read your shit. Your ads, I mean. People hate ads. I hate them myself. I hate TV commercials. Why should I waste my valuable time watching that lying garbage trying to sell me crap I don't need or want? Sometimes young writers acquire the idea from their years in school that the world is waiting to read what they've written. They get this idea that because their teachers had to read their essays or term papers or dissertations. In the real world, no one is waiting to read what you've written. Sight unseen, they hate what you've written. Why? Because they might actually have to read it. Nobody wants to read anything. Let me repeat that. Nobody, not even your dog or your mother, has the slightest interest in your commercial for Rice Krispies or Delco batteries or Preparation H. Nor does anybody care about your one-act play, your Facebook page, or your new Sesame Chicken joint. It isn't that people are mean or cruel, they're just busy. Nobody wants to read your shit. So what's the answer? 1. Streamline your message. Focus it and pare it down to its simplest, clearest, and easiest to understand form. 2. Make its expression fun, or sexy, or interesting, or scary, or informative. Make it so compelling that a person would have to be crazy not to read it. 3. Apply that to all forms of writing, or art, or commerce. When you understand that nobody wants to read your shit, your mind becomes powerfully concentrated. You begin to understand that writing/reading is, above all, a transaction. The reader donates his time and attention, which are supremely valuable commodities, the most valuable commodities, I would say. In return, you, the writer, must give him something worthy of his gift to you. When you understand that nobody wants to read your shit, you develop empathy. You acquire the skill that is indispensable to all artists and entrepreneurs, the ability to switch back and forth in your imagination from your own point of view, as a writer/painter, seller, whatever, to the point of view of your reader, gallery goer, or customer. You learn to ask yourself with every sentence and every phrase, is this interesting? Is it fun or challenging or inventive? Am I giving the reader enough? Is she bored? Is she following where I want to lead her? And obviously, I'm working on this just as much as you guys are. Some of you guys might be light years ahead of me. But it's a great, short, concise read, you know. Obviously, he knows what he's doing. I mean, and it is direct and aggressive, and it is confrontational, but it's also, you know, self-deprecating and all that good stuff. All of a sudden, I understood why I was so moody, neurotic, and simultaneously paranoid and megalomaniac, mistrustful, uneasy, driven by ambition, but paralyzed by guilt about my ambition, horny, obsessive-compulsive, not to mention shy, withdrawn, and dandruff-ridden. I was creative. All creative people are like that. The writer must know what genre he is working in and the conventions of that genre, just as the bridge builder must understand the science of foundational integrity and the means of mitigating stress on strong steel. Why? Because a story, whether it's a movie, a play, a novel, or a piece of nonfiction, is experienced by the reader on the level of the soul. And the soul has a universal structure of narrative receptors. Jung was right. There is a collective unconscious. Joseph Campbell was right. Myths and legends do constitute the fabric of the self. These are just kind of like just plucked out pieces I liked. When you try too hard, you have bad ideas. When you work mechanically, you have bad ideas. When you follow a formula, you have bad ideas. When you are desperate or panicky, you have bad ideas. I learned that good writers and good art directors had good ideas over and over, and bad writers and bad art directors had bad ideas over and over. So this next one I just plucked because a lot of you motherfuckers are still skeptical, which is fine. It's totally fine. I probably would be too if I was still reading this for the first time. But, you know, Ridley Scott worked in advertising. So did Satyajit Ray and Scott Fitzgerald and Salman Rushdie and hundreds of others who went on to produce immortal stuff in the real artistic world. Satyajit Ray was a Indian director who was championed by many, many, many other famous directors, Werner Herzog among them, for the Apu trilogy, which is I think I saw one, but I have to watch the other two. But I liked the first one that I saw. Beautiful film. Anyways, you wouldn't expect him to have worked in advertising. You do what you gotta do, right? So you need a lot of money quick and you're pretty good with writing? Try this out. See if it works. If it does, you're welcome. Back to the book. I read War and Peace. I read Crime and Punishment. I read Fathers and Sons. But did you read Sons and Mothers? I read Stendhal's The Red and the Black. I read Knut Hamsun's Hunger. I read Proust and Balzac and André Malraux. I read Madame Bovary. I read One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich. I never heard of that one. I read All Quiet on the Western Front. I read Joyce and Yeats and Dylan Thomas, Hemingway, Fitzgerald, Steinbeck, Henry Miller, Jack Kerouac, William Burroughs. I'd finish writing each day and pick up another timeless classic and submerge myself in it. What did I learn? Not a fucking thing! I didn't even know there was anything to learn. And yet, why was I trying to find a voice? I had no clue. If you had asked me, I couldn't even articulate the idea that there was such thing as a voice. I was excruciatingly aware, however, not just that my writing was inauthentic, but that I myself was inauthentic. Every word I wrote screamed of effort and fakery. I was self-conscious. I was full of shit. I didn't know what I was talking about. Even when I was writing the absolute truth. Real events from my life. The paragraphs came out hollow and phony. And you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Plenty of you guys who send me your work, you all know about this shit. It's crazy, isn't it? Many of you writers, male, female, whatever, y'all know about this stuff. Definitely a struggle that any author I've met is going or has gone through. Attempting to communicate the most profound feelings or emotions that they've experienced, but when they read it back to themselves, or worse, they hear it come out of somebody else's mouth, just sounds dead. I was using the act of writing, I should say the sham or simulacrum of writing, as a pretense to plant my own ego on the planet so that I could believe I really existed. Have you ever taken a selfie? That was it. That was what I was doing. It was like what people do today on Facebook and Instagram. A real writer, or artist, or entrepreneur has something to give. She has lived enough and suffered enough and thought deeply enough about her experience to be able to process it into something that is of value to others, even if only as entertainment. A fake writer or artist or entrepreneur is just trying to draw attention to himself. The word fake may be too unkind. Let's say young or evolving. That was the hump. To get over it, the candidate must grow up. A change has to happen at the cellular level. Sound familiar? Definitely did to me. Of course. Of course! I mean, everybody's gone through this shit. I'm sure Hemingway too, man. I'm sure Hemingway too. Everybody has a stop-start phase. It's cool, no matter what age you're at. Just keep going. Keep going, but do what you gotta do, right? In a really weird circumstance, Matthew McConaughey once told me to keep the sprockets rolling. Of course, then he realized we all shoot on digital these days, but he just said, whatever, doesn't matter, just don't stop shooting. Don't stop shooting. Don't stop shooting. Okay, Cole. Okay, Rust. I'll keep going. And he goes on to reference Joseph Campbell and Robert McKee stuff, and it all comes out to something, you've heard 1,000 times. 3-act structure plus hero's journey equals story. He also admits that he totally rebelled against that and didn't work so well. Be groundbreaking, be experimental if you want, but remember the human psyche is deeply conservative and rigid as a rock. For good reason too, system excess, blah, 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 but mostly system. And so in this case, you gotta develop around the system. You gotta work, and there's a reason why things are a cliche and why they've worked in the past. This is drilling itself more into my head every day, and it's something I'm not even close to wrapping my head around, but we're getting there. One great and very interesting tip he gives is start at the end. Start at the end. Start at the end. First figure out where you want to finish, then work backward to set up everything you need to get you there. This applies, by the way, to screenplays, novels, songs, choreography, etc. It probably applies to philosophy texts or abstract pieces of poetry or the only thing I can think of that it wouldn't apply to is just like stream of consciousness, because that's the whole idea of it, and we don't know where we're going to end. But then it's one of the ones that hit the closest to home was chapter 73, How We Learn. You don't really learn an art or a craft in school. In the real world, the process is much more like an apprenticeship. Multiple apprenticeships under multiple masters. It happens on the street and it happens in the studio. It happens in bed. It happens sober and it happens stoned. It happens getting up early and it happens staying up late. You move to LA, New York, London. You make friends. You form relationships at your own level, the novice class, and you make friends at the mentor level, above you. You kiss ass. You work for free. You do stuff that nobody else will do. You work on your own and you team up with others. You save your pennies. You decide you'll do a web series or shoot your own film or write a screenplay on spec. Day one, your buddy says, "What's our break into two?" Break into two? What the hell is that? That's how you learn. You take a class. You sign up for a webinar. Maybe you literally go back to school and get a degree. You read 1,000,000 scripts and 1,000,000 books about scripts. You submit material and other people critique it. In other words, you're in the trenches, getting hosed and headbanged and dismissed and ignored. Crimes and Misdemeanors. Woody Allen. Just watched it the other night with my girl for the first time. Loved it. Didn't like it in the beginning, but loved it by the end. It was a great film. Woody Allen actually plays like this guy, who's struggling in New York, making this documentary on a philosophy professor who eventually kills himself. This philosopher, which is brilliant. It's totally dark and nihilistic, but he's like telling this this 12-year-old girl is like, "Oh, you don't want to go into filmmaking. It's a dog eat dog world. In fact, it's not even dog eat dog. It's dog doesn't return other dogs' phone calls." I love Woody Allen, man. I do. I love that son of a bitch. Oh man, he's great. Anyways. You're invisible, you're held in contempt, you're exploited, right? In other words, you're in the trenches, getting hosed and headbanged, dismissed and ignored. You're invisible, you're held in contempt, you're exploited. People farther up the food chain take your time, take your energy, your body. You let them. You want them to take these things. It's the price you pay to learn. I love shows like Project Runway or Top Chef. You don't even have to have the sound on. Make it work, says Tim Gunn. That's how you learn. You start out with friends who are as broke as you and clueless, and then one gets hired somewhere, and it's the same in the music biz or the rag trade or dance or photography or video game design. That one friend pulls the others up. She calls you in for a free rewrite. Can you deliver tonight? Of course you can. That's how you learn. You take jobs because you're broke that you would never take. You take jobs because you're broke that you would never take if you had any pride or self-respect or cash. I did a rewrite once on an all-time sleazeball porn flick. I lost a girlfriend over it. But I learned more in 4 days than in a semester at the Yale Drama School. Then there's a way you really learn. Alone at your keyboard, alone in the dance studio, alone in the dark room, trying to answer the eternal question, why is this fucking thing not working? Creative work can be hell, but it can be heaven too. What could be better than beating your brains out on a problem that's exactly the problem you need to solve to get better? We learn by increments. One word, one image, one piece of code at a time. A screenwriter may have 50 scripts in her closet. She can take you to a line in number 3 or number 17 or a scene in number 31 or all of Act 2 and number 47 and tell you how it took her all day or all week or all month to solve that particular problem. I totally get that. That's how you learn. A perennial query. Should I move to Los Angeles if I want to write for the movies or TV? Do I have to pack up for New York if I want to work in fashion? My dream to be is in the adult films. My dream is to be in adult films. Do I have to move to the San Fernando Valley? You do. That's how you learn. That's all I got for you today. Man, now it's hot in here. And if you feel like you're trying too hard, then just stop for a little bit. Eat, read, go have sex, lift weights. Go outside, take a walk, go fishing. Leave your phone off. Remember that life is too short to read or write bullshit. Take none, and don't fear the pain. I think you'll be fine. The enemy is resistance, and resistance will use time against you. That's something that I have to internalize, and I have a lot of work to do. So here's to the fight. All of you. Even the spammers, who are probably just the good ones who haven't learned yet. No apologies. Keep fighting. Stay strong. More fiction coming your way soon, guys. Thanks for watching. Ciao.